Negotiations continue tonight between the big three automakers and the United Auto Workers. Current contracts expire in just 2 days at 11:59 p.m. Thursday.
UAW President Shawn Fain has said there will not be an extension of that deadline and that the union will strike any company that has not reached a deal by then. Yesterday, it was reported by Automotive News that the union has reduced the pay raise they're demanding from 46% to the mid-30s.
Back with us tonight for more insight into these negotiations are Wayne State Professor of Management Marick Masters and former UAW President Bob King. Thanks as always. Let's begin here. The clock is ticking. Do you believe in your mind, with only 2 days to go, they can still find a way to find common ground and reach a deal?
There's still enough time to find a path to agreement if the parties are close enough to close the gap.
All right. We'll bring you in here, Bob. Is it a good sign that we're seeing some compromise from Shawn Fain? And what do you think is the strategy that he's compromising reportedly this close to the deadline?
Well, all negotiations is about counter offers, trying to find a ground. That for Shawn, it's to get an agreement good enough for the membership. You know, he has been out talking to members across the country for the last 6 months, and he knows what they want. He knows that there's a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. So it's going to have to take a really good offers from the companies to get an agreement that Shawn will feel comfortable taking back, that he can get ratified. So I'm hopeful that there's movement, but it's really important to understand that it's still what we've been saying for a while. The companies have to really put much, much better offers on the table.
Bob, specifically, what does have to happen here to avoid a strike in 2 days?
A really comprehensive package that addresses the issues that these are members' demands, as Shawn has said, that addresses these demands in a meaningful way. And yeah, he has said very strongly he wants to negotiate to get an agreement without a strike. But I've known Shawn a long time. He's a real fighter, and he's going to stand. He's a good negotiator. He knows how to put together an agreement. But the company's got to realize the frustration level and anger level and what members really will need to get an agreement ratified.
So the UAW could strike one or even all three of these companies. Marick, is there any world in which they accept three drastically different deals, or do they all end up being pretty similar at the end of the day?
I think it would be highly unlikely that they would accept three drastically different deals. Maybe on some minor issues they'd allow for accommodation, but they're looking for a pattern across the three companies that they can take to sell to non-union members that are in the auto industry and say, look, this is what you can get if you join a union. And I agree with what Bob King said, that it would be a mistake for the companies to underestimate how serious these demands are, because they are the members' demands, and Shawn Fain has to be able to sell a tentative agreement to the rank and file. And that is not something that they're going to accept. They're not going to swallow any pill that they're offered.
Yeah. State Rep Debbie Dingell was on CNN, and she was talking about how if they do go on strike, that Americans will be reminded just how important that these workers are to this country. How true is that in your opinion?
Well, I think it is very true. I mean, we have to understand that workers' livelihood are at stake, and the industry is really at stake. The longer a strike goes on, if it goes out for more than a week, 2 weeks, into several weeks, then obviously the more serious the impact is going to be. But the impact will be felt immediately on suppliers and on the workers themselves and on the companies. It's estimated by one source, Goldman Sachs, I think the companies would lose at least $500 million or more, up to $1 billion a week per strike. And that's a lot of money.
So as we're down to the wire now, Bob, I want to get your thoughts. What should we really expect over these next couple of days? Should we expect to see maybe one offer, or are we going to run out the clock on all three of them and we don't really find out what's going on until late Thursday night?
Well, I think the UAW has implemented a really effective strategy. All three companies are continuing to negotiate and bargain. It's way different than what we've done in the past, and I think it's been very effective. I think they're going to get a much better agreement in the end because of the strategies that Shawn and all his vice presidents, Chuck Browning, Mike Booth, Richie Booth, Boyer. They've all put this together, and they're all continuing intensive negotiations. And I think that's something new and something very effective.
Bob, there's 140,000+ UAW members. As much as they are fighting for what they believe in and these increase in wages and everything else they are fighting for, as we get down to it here, just how nerve-wracking is it for them as they fight for this, knowing that, look, they could have to walk out and strike and have very little money coming in?
Well, two things. What I hear from the membership is they welcome the fight if they have to have it. They're tired of the tiers. Members, it doesn't matter whether you're highest seniority member, lowest seniority member, all members hate the tiers. Members feel like they went to the plate for the company, they made huge sacrifices for these companies, and now they deserve to get restored many of the things that they gave up to save the company. So I don't think there's fear. I think there's determination and commitment that they're going to fight to whatever it takes. They hope that a good agreement can be bargained and brought back to them. But if it's not, they're willing to take on the fight.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of conversation. You mentioned Debbie Dingell on CNN. Shawn Fain was also on that channel. And there's been some conversation as to who would really be hurt the most by a strike. So just final thoughts. Marick, who does bear the brunt of that burden? Is it the workers, is it the overall economy, or the three companies themselves?
Well, the workers bear the brunt of it because they're on the line. They're the ones that suffer the loss in income immediately. But then the ripple effect can be very severe, and other workers can lose their jobs as well. So it hurts the workers initially and over the short term more than it does the companies who have a larger amount of cash that they can rely on to keep them floating for a while.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne State Management Professor Marick Masters and former UAW President Bob King, we appreciate you always as being here tonight as we are 2 days out from a potential strike.